It's spinning.
Ooh, there we are.
We're live right now. There we go. Live streaming. We did it, Susie. Off the seas, we did it. Oh my goodness, the time we have had. The time we have had. Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
indeed.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome. You have no idea how excited Susie and I are to be online.
Absolutely. It's been a long time coming.
It is. Yes, it has.
And that's without all the tech issues tonight. But we got there. Hey, angels in action just don't necessarily have tech issues. We just do everything else.
That's right. Yes. And funny enough is that, angels can help you with tech issues.
Yeah. Maybe that's what...
Hello, you can help with tech issues. Yeah. Reminder.
Sometimes I think they just want to play though and give us those little challenges just to see how we cope with them.
Timing is perfect, guys. Seriously, ethereal timing is perfect. So even if we may think that it's not, it is. And I think one of the things both Susie and I can attest to that we both are well aware of is that the timing is perfect, and you have to trust it. You really have to
absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt. There's no point getting frustrated. As we were dealing with the tech issues behind the scenes, I was just pulling a little card, and the first card that came out said, "Breathe." So, I just want to say hi to Michaela. Thank you. Lovely to meet you. Don't know if Michaela's one of yours regulars, Larkin, but she's popped in. So thank you so much for being here. I'm just going to do a little bit of sharing.
Yes. Yes. And just a big welcome to all of you. This is our debut of Angels in Action. And as you can see in the banner, and then I'll get Susie get back to what she wanted us to share. There are different ways and instructions for logging on so that we can see you. Obviously, Michaela's done it correctly. And then once we've done this first debut podcast for YouTube, it takes about, YouTube says 24 hours, but I haven't found that to be the case. Then you guys will always be able to go through there, and the instructions are in the banner for that. So whichever way you want to go through to watch, then you guys will be able to join us.
Yay.
We'll be here every week.
Yeah, so welcome.
5:30 BST time, 12:30 EDT time.
Yeah. That's the time we're aiming for, but obviously we'll have a little bit of a leeway on that. Yeah. We won't have the issues that we've just had, that's for sure. Now we've ironed them all out, which is great.
Yeah. So StreamYard is fantastic, but I haven't been. This is only the second time I've used it in like 3 years, and they've changed it a lot. So what I thought was going to take us 5 or 10 minutes, and I even used it last week and didn't have these issues. We thought we were good to go.
We certainly
90 did. Minutes later, right? Yeah, that's okay. We're here. So
yeah.
Thank you all for tuning in. Toonie, what were you going to share, Susan?
Oh, I'm just going to say another quick hello. Hi to Donna. She's just popped in as well. So lovely to meet you, Donna.
Where are you seeing these people?
I've got comments. I've got comments down the side coming in. So it looks like I'm going to be watching the comments.
And you guys can see why we had a hard time getting on here. Okay.
So I think a little bit of backstory maybe for those of you that have popped in and don't know us as a pair, but know us individually. I'm Susie Antara. I live in the north of England, and Larkin and I connected, at least 2 years ago now. It feels like forever. It's just been one of those connections that you make with somebody and you just know it's a lifetime of previous lives, which we'll probably talk about at some point through one of these lives, because I am just sidebar. I love doing past life regression. I trained as a hypnotherapist in NLP alongside all my spiritual practices. So I live in the north of England. I am grandmother. So my sons are grown up, have children of their own, fur baby mama, And unlike Larkin, who I'm sure will share her story at some point, I came into this work, if we want to call it work, very late on in life. My mother assures me that I talked to the fairies as a child. I don't remember. I do remember being quite a bit of a loner as a child and writing stories, so always liking that sort of thing. Hi Alison, lovely to see you. Somebody from the UK's popped in, so that's great. So we're getting there. So yes, so my spiritual work, my angelic connection, none of that while I was growing up. And then my husband passed away 29 years ago, and following that, 3 days later, I had an angelic vision that put me on this path of bringing me to where I am today. So there's going to be lots of little stories, I think, being shared in these lives as we go along, how we came to connect the angels, what the angels mean for us, how they've inspired us. One of the little things that I will say as well as another story to tell, but it just feels like it's relevant. After my husband died, lots of things happened as you do. You go through the grieving process and all of that. But I became a shopaholic. And on reflection, I look back and I see that that was a way of managing my grief, not just for me, but for my children as well. And it got to a point where it meant I lost everything. I had to go bankrupt. But during that time, I had so much love, guidance, and support from the angels that I ended up being an article in a magazine in the UK. And Alison may have heard of this magazine. It's called Chat Magazine. And I was contacted by the writer, the journalist, and she asked if she could write my story about how angels helped me cure my shopping addiction. So whilst it came on the back of the grief story, it is a very light-hearted story, and it was funny. It was fun to do and write about. So there are lots of ways I feel that the angels can help us in life, is what I wanted to say. Yeah, so that angelic vision started me on my journey. I love crystals. I work with crystals a lot. I've trained in a lot of modalities, but again, not going to just blurb it all out here and in this live, because obviously we want you to get to know us over a period of time, and we'll start sharing all these wonderful little gems as we go along. So that's a little bit about myself.
Beautiful, beautiful, Susie. Chrissy, welcome.
Hi, Chrissy.
So happy to see you there.
Alison, hi. Oh, bless you, darling. And Alison, so lots of people popping in. Fantastic. This is so lovely to see you all, guys.
Oh my gosh, we've got 2 Alisons here. Wonderful.
We have, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
One from the UK and one in Canada.
Yeah, and so Alison Plumley, we are going to be talking a lot too about angels and loved ones that have passed on. So that is something we're also going to be talking about here as well. And Susie, thank you for that beautiful introduction about yourself. We want you guys to understand how you can relate to us and our history and what we can, what we're sharing with you. A lot of what Susie and I have to share overlap, such as our connection with angels and spirit guides, and our teaching intuition, our doing readings, our doing past life regressions. And then we also have things that are really unique to us. She's the crystal master here. I love crystals. I use them. They speak to me. But that's not my specialty. So as you get to know us, you'll get to learn, the similar and different things that we have to share with you.
Absolutely.
And that our paths from across the seas were brought together, which is pretty awesome.
Oh, amazingly awesome. I'll share that little story. This is how they work. I don't even know how Larkin got to connect with me until I don't recall making any form of connection with her. And then one day I received this text message saying, would you like to join my mastermind, 5-day mastermind on, I think it was money manifestation. And I love the thought of manifesting. I'm quite a natural manifester, very blessed in that respect. but I love how we can manifest things in our life, and it's all based around our thoughts. And interestingly, at the time, my thought processes were going on around money. And then this text message arrived, would you like to join my masterclass? And I'm thinking, I don't even know who this person is. Where did this text message come from? Why have I received it? I don't recall registering or anything like that. So anyway, I obviously connected, and yeah, that was it. 2+ years later, here we are.
And I don't know how that happened either, honestly, because like, I mean, mind you, we've got the American British version here of terminology. So
yeah,
so she says text. I'm thinking it's probably messenger. And I don't even remember doing that because I'm not a very aggressive marketer.
It was through the text message on your phone. So see,
which is crazy because we don't even have one another's numbers. I wasn't doing text marketing. So something there, you know,
definitely.
Metaphysical happened. I am certain of that. Because I'm very picky about who I work with, and I was trying to choose a very select group. And before you know it, Susie and I are sitting there doing readings for one another, right? You know?
Yeah.
So this is just, it's a beautiful thing. And I'll quickly share with you guys a little bit about myself. And if you want to learn more about this, you can also, I have one posted it on my pages. And I kind of ran through, which I'm not going to do today, but a whole history of how my spirit guides introduced themselves to me and my angels. And it was really fun. And that's one of the things we're going to cover here too, is how do you know the difference between your spirit guides and your angels, how to get to know and work with each one. We're going to go over that as well. For me personally, I programmed myself. I came with a very intact cosmic memory. So from the time, I mean, I have memories from the time I was 2. I was like a little old lady, like just a little old spiritual teacher plopped here at the age of 2. I was telling people things and, you know, lecturing my parents on why they shouldn't kill the fly in the sink and, you know, that type of thing. And I don't remember having a time where I was not connecting to spirit or seeing my spirit guides or angels or things like that. And so there were periods in my life where I got kind of sucked more into society and more into my mind. And you kind of stray away from that because you're so distracted by your senses. But that was just always a part of my reality. And I think that, you know, it makes life more difficult in a way, like people that have come back from NDEs, because you're always missing that other side. But it also makes it easier because you automatically have those connections that we are working, Susie and I are working to help you all connect to for yourself, because there's nothing like the personal experience of that.
Absolutely.
And it's an ongoing, never ending process, really, where, you know, you could try your whole life to work better with your angels and your spirit guides, and it would still, in a lifetime, you could never accomplish as much of it as you want. You could never get to the full depth that you really wanted to. And so as time goes on and you keep connecting, they give you more. You have deeper connections. They help you with more things. It becomes as real or even more real than our interactions here with one another. And so Susie and I think can both attest, I know I'm not giving a lot of history about myself here, but we can both attest to the fact that personal experience cannot be replaced.
No, exactly.
And so, you know, I think for both of us, my journey was this pursuit to validate what I remembered cosmically, what I knew, who I remembered myself to be, which is why I focus so much on, you know, wanting to help you guys remember who you truly are, because I remembered who I was as an ambassador of light, as a guardian of animals, as a teacher, as a medium, as an animal communicator. Those things became clear in more human terms the more life went on. And as I was like, wow, yeah, okay, look at all these beings I'm connected with. I want to be able to translate this for other people. So then I would go into, I mean, I've done years of martial arts and Shaolin training and all of that stuff, which seems very different from angel work, but it's really not all that different when you discover that the 4 directions for the Native Americans are the same as the 4 main archangels in more of our Western culture, and that those energies are one and the same. It's like, oh my gosh. So, so we both want to kind of I'm not sharing a lot about my own story with you. I'm just trying to give you a general summary because it's really hard for us to summarize these things. But, as time went on, I noticed that I was always showing up for life transitions, helping people with their family or pets when they were transitioning. And I remember thinking, is this why I'm here? I don't know that this is really what I want to be doing. But it became such an honor. And so, so it's been a journey that, your journey always leads you to where you are right now. And that's always where you need to be in the moment. And in summarizing my story, the fascinating thing for me is that for a long time, my focus was to help women overcome their financial situation and struggles and learn to manifest money. But for empathic, spiritual, sensitive women, because they were often the ones that struggled with corporate or struggled charging for their services and all of that. And I did that for quite a few years, and I had women help them to build their businesses, and it was great. And then I just felt the lack of alignment. And I want to throw this out there. It wasn't the money factor. It was the mindset of the people that I was working with. What I noticed was as soon as I started working with women to help them manifest what they wanted and manifest money, the real aspects of themselves that they needed to work on came out. And so since my goal was to help manifest authentically, which is one of the things the angels help you to do, the ego was getting in the way with the coaching clients that I had, because money is not the root of all evil. However, it will bring out who you really are. So if ego and society is programming us to want, we'll never be satisfied. And so everything kind of flipped around and hit me in the face. And I was like, oh my God, I've set all this up. I've got all these successful clients. I don't want to do this anymore. So here we are. So I've done 180 this year. So those of you that maybe have followed me, you'll notice I was doing all this money manifesting stuff, and I was doing it authentically, but I noticed that that wasn't working for egos. So I had to go back and start from the metaphysical side, and do the help support women and people with the empowerment from there instead. And luckily, I have a partner in crime. So anyway, we will get to your comments, guys. We are seeing your comments. I was just trying to summarize, just so you know who we are, because it's a lot more fun and comfortable to get on, to let us, share with you, to answer your questions, to, do readings for you, to do classes and events, if you actually know us and trust who we are. So
absolutely. Yeah. And one of the things I'd like to add into that summary, which was beautifully said and so much like you, it's amazing, I love it, is if you're coming in thinking I can't connect, I don't know how to manifest, and yes, Alison, we have seen your question, and as Larkin says, we will get to it. Larkin we're all born with this sixth sense, as we like to call it. It's one of our senses, of which again, that'll be another topic we'll cover about all the different senses. But we are all naturally intuitive. We can all have this connection, but we can come at it from birth, before birth, or we can come at it as I did in my in my 30s, mid 30s, when my connection started to really present itself and make me feel. And I can remember as I started my journey, looking at the people that I was starting to follow, the famous mediums out there, the book writers, all of those people who would write about, much like Larkin is saying, how she came into this as a child. She had all of these experiences right from birth. And I remember thinking to myself, well, I'll never be able to do this. I'm not born with it. I didn't have these experiences as a child, and therefore how can I possibly be somebody who connects to and works with angels? after a few kicks up the butt over the years. Here we are. But what I want to say to you is, don't ever doubt yourself that you cannot do something like this. It may not be in the way that we're doing it. It's all about using that inner knowing, that connection, to inspire yourself to know where you're going in life, what you want from life. And you could want to be a dustman, a painter, a writer. I was a nurse for 40 years and I absolutely loved my job. Retired from it 5 years ago now. I did this from the age of late 30s, early 40s, and combined the two. But now it's just this. So I don't ever want you to feel that you can't do something, because you can. You can do whatever you choose to do. But we're here to help guide and inspire you to find that energy connection within you, because this is what it boils down to. It boils down to energy. We are energy beings. Everything in the universe is energy. Everything we connect to, spirit, angels, animals, our loved ones, be they here or in the etheric realms, as you will often hear me refer to the etheric realms, rather than individualizing spirit, angels, and all of that, because they are all one energy. And how I know this is what many years ago in a meditation, I asked that question and I was shown a diamond, and all the facets of a diamond had a different being or face, animal, energy, form in it. And that was when I got to understand everything comes from one source of energy. And from that day forward, I just knew that that's what I wanted to share with others, how we can connect. And some of it will take a form of ethereal conversations. Some of it will take a form of very, very grounded and down-to-earth conversations. Speaking for myself, but I know Larkin as well will agree, we come from a very authentic place. We believe in speaking the truth, our truth. Not everybody will agree with it. Not everybody will like it, but that's who we are. We want you to know that you can do this from your truth as well.
Speak for yourself. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. I'm with her.
So yeah. So I feel one of the things that you'll find if you come to be a part of this little space with us on a Monday evening on a regular basis, we discussed this beforehand when we were finally setting the dates to get started. Were we going to come in with a topic, or were we just going to flow? For me, I love natural flow. Larkin agreed with me as well that we both do. And we know that whatever is needed in the moment will come up either through our conversation or, as has done tonight, a question in the comments. And that's so we will never be saying, well, we might do, who knows, we might change and go one day, actually we want to discuss that topic, and that's what we'll do. But for the most of the time, for me, I feel it will just be a nice gentle flow of what we're inspired, because it's not us, it's the inspiration that flows through us that brings through the conversations that we'll have.
And I do want to I definitely, Allison, I'm going to get to your question in just a second. We're going to get there. I want to add to that as well, is that it's with the flow aspect, I usually will come in and have a topic because the human mind wants a topic. So typically for my broadcasts in the past, I would pick one, but then that was just a starting point. So regardless of whether you guys find like we have an event or a class or a topic, it's still going to be free flow. It's just a little more channeled or focused. So like if one is, okay, today we're focusing on, how to connect with past loved ones or animals. A lot of times something else pops in, and that's spirit flowing through us. So hopefully you'll get to learn to see a lot. You'll see when is it our human personality speaking to you, and when are we, allowing spirit to really come through. Oh, this needed to come through. And you guys will start to see that. For me, you can tell a lot by the speed at which I'm speaking. Because if something opens and things start coming in, I try to keep up with that. Right. Yeah. So you guys will, if you start to pay attention to that, that will start to help you a little bit, kind of follow along and maybe even tell for yourself, how do different ways of processing or channeling come in for you? So I think that that's really important. And that's what we're here to do, is answer questions. Like, I know, we all work a little differently. Susie and I work a little differently in how we get our answers. I know for me, questions trigger me a lot. I love questions because when someone asks a question, I go on autopilot, and I don't, even if as a human being, I don't know the answer, I find the answer comes through to that person. So this is a great place for you to ask us questions. So, and I do want to, Susie, did you have something you want to add? Because I want to get to Allison's question.
No, I think it's time. Yeah, I'm wanting to get to Allison as well. And we've got another Allison who's come in with a lovely little comment here. Yeah. So we'll start with Allison about manifestation, I think, because that was the trigger question or the trigger comment.
Yeah, and it was great because it had come off the back of me talking about manifesting. And this is something that we'll summarize here and we'll answer for you in summary. But it's also something that, like for clients in my mastermind, we meet a couple times a week about. So your question doesn't have a quick answer because it's a process for you discovering. So we will it will summarize an answer for you in something that your mind will like. But in truth, the answer, and I'll read her question for everyone. The answer to that is something that's going to have to be learned through experience. You might listen to us today and be like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. But you're probably not going to really know what we mean until you've put into practice a lot of what my clients have spent a couple of years doing. And I want to remind you all that we are in a society, I'm going to throw this out there, that, and I can say this because I've been in the coaching industry now for over 15 years. And I'm not saying the coaching industry is bad, but it is a target for a lot of women, especially. It's a lot of women abusing women, to be quite honest. And I can't tell you all of the hundreds of thousands of dollars that I spent on coaching. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, a lot of my clients have gotten more out of coaching than they have of therapy. So I'm not saying coaching is bad, but there is a mainstream effect of misleading information, and it is not all intentional. A lot of it is women coaching women what they've been coached, and it's kind of a cookie cutter effect. And I think what Susie and I are attempting to do is take you back, direct you back to your power, not tell you what to do, not show you what to do, but reinforce you turning back and stepping into your power. So sometimes knowing what to do is not knowing. It's the opposite of a lot of what you hear. We live in a world that is instant gratification, and that's not reality. So I want to throw that out there, Allison. I'll read Allison's question, then I'm going to explain to you why that's important. She said, is there a right or wrong way to manifest something? The answer is no, but we're going to share with you, but there is a powered and a disempowered way. There are authentic and unauthentic ways. There really is no right or wrong anyway. There's only contrast in this world. And one of the things that the angels and spirit guides help us to understand is that you really have to differentiate. Susie can vouch for this. You really have to learn to differentiate between your cognitive mind, your prefrontal cortex, which is meant to do arithmetic and read and make logical decisions and thinks and judges. It's your ego. Mind is synonymous with ego. And you're the eternal consciousness that's the real you, the observer behind your thoughts that Eckhart Tolle describes it as. That is the real you. That's the eternal you that was here before you were born. that's going to be you after you die. There is no death. And so if you want to authentically manifest, real alignment means aligning with that. So no, there's not a right or wrong, but there's a long, a short way, an easy, a hard way. And we will be going over that in here. And the angels love to help with that. I'm going to run over these, and then Susie will run over these with you. But while I'm in flow here, and I'm wondering is how do you know if it's working and if I'm doing it right? So that can be a long process to discover. One of them is just how you feel. You know, I always tell people, if you're seeing a shift in 3 to 6 months, then you know that you're making changes. But here, I want to throw this out, and then I'm going to turn over to Susie, because I know I'm going to have more to say again later. I don't want to be in a soapbox. But here's the thing, guys. Manifesting is being taught is just a mindset thing. And then other people are like, oh, if I just, people are leaving out pieces. Even people that taught The Secret, they're leaving pieces out. And you can be a successful manifester for things that you think you want. Like I was with my business, coaching women in business, only to find that you worked your ass off to learn to be a good manifester, to manifest right. You got all the things you wanted. And then you realized, oh, now you're a little more conscious. This isn't in alignment with me at all. I can't do this. So the best thing to do first is to not focus so much like society is telling you, focus on what you want. I taught that. I coached that for years. Focus on what you want. Here's the thing. It's not about what you want. It's about what's aligned with you, because what's aligned with you authentically will give you the experience and the feelings of having what you want without, once you're getting it, being like, oh, I don't want that now, if that makes sense. And I'll come back to that, but I've talked enough. You give me your answer, Susie.
Thank you. For me, as Larkin says, yeah, there is no wrong way to manifest. There is your way. It's the way that you work. And what I mean by that is, I did a lot of manifestation classes many, many years ago, and they all told me to write things down, to gather candles, gather crystals, put a whole array of things together, using vision boards, all of that. And they were great fun to do, and they were lovely little practices. But what I found is I'm a very simplistic person. It's not that I want things to quickly. I just like to do things simply. And I remember one of my other mentors many years ago said to me, keep it simple. And ever since then, I've lived by that premise, keep it simple. So that's what I started to do. Yes, I would write down what I'd like to manifest, but I didn't do all the rituals around it. Rituals are just, for me, are just long-winded. But if you're somebody that likes to do that, then there's nothing wrong with them. There's no right or wrong with anything that we discuss. It's all about what resonates for us, because we're all unique individuals. We all do things differently. We all have different perceptions. I'm very creative. I love creating. I love artwork. I love drawing. I love writing. So for me to then go away and start making these great big vision boards and things like that took away from my creativity for some reason. I don't know why. I don't understand it. It just did, and it happened. So what I learned with manifesting for me was I would have the thought, I would be grateful for what I already had. I would be grateful for what was coming for me, if it was right for me, and as Larkin says, if it was in alignment for me. And then I would just let it be, let it go. And that was the simple bit. That was the easy bit for me, was just letting it go and forgetting about it. And the things that I've manifested by forgetting have been a multitude, from little tiny things to the home that I'm living in at this moment in time. So I guess what I'm trying to say is about finding what feels right for you. If you're somebody that likes to do little rituals, light candles, put crystals around, write it all out, do it on the new moon, all of these energies add to it, but they don't necessarily make it what you manifest. For me, manifesting comes from within you. I don't give my power away to something external. And that's another thing that's a more deeper discussion about not disempowering yourself. It's about knowing and trusting what you know and feel. And this probably all sounds really sort of, I don't know how much manifesting you've already done, Alison, and how it's been working for you. But for me, it's truly getting to grips with being the simplest of practices, loving what you're manifesting, loving what you already have, being grateful for what you're manifesting and grateful for what you already have. Putting the thought out there, because as we know, thoughts are energy. And where we put a thought out, that energy flows, and the universe will bring back to us in another flow of energy, because it's an eternal, it's the infinity sign. Everything flows infinitely. It will come to you. The one thing you also have to add to this, and I'm being nudged here, is patience. I was very impatient. I was one of these people that many years ago, if I couldn't have it yesterday, then I was like, I want that. I've changed over time, and again, another story for another time. So patience. Some things may manifest almost instantly. Other things might not manifest for days, weeks, months, or even years, because we're taught time is man-made. It's a man-made concept. Time is linear and all of that, when in reality, there is no time. We just have, again, quantum work is something else Larkin is very loving and passionate about. I'm learning more about it through her. I understand the basics of it, but it's understanding that there is no time as well. So when you put something out there and you manifest it, and then you put that attachment to it of when's it going to happen, you're actually preventing that flow. And that's why I say, once you've done it, forget about it. Don't go back. Some people will say revisit it, go back, redo it again on another time span of whatever that might be, whether it be the new moon or whatever. They're different practices. It's the words I'm hearing is horses for courses, and that's what it is. It's about finding what you like, what resonates with you as a practice and as who you are. So I'm being inspired to share. When I first started this journey, I looked very much into Wicca. I started practicing. I was a solitary witch for a year. Loved it. It was fun to do. But then I realized it wasn't my path. It wasn't my journey. And I moved away from it. But if that's something that resonates, then you will be inspired by rituals and practices on certain days of the month. And again, the angels have connections to certain days. I don't do that. If I want to work with an angel, I'll work with that angel there and then. They will come in. They will share with me. They will be here. At the moment, I am working with Archangel Michael a lot. Other times it might be Raphael. So it's coming back. I hope I'm making sense, but it's coming back to you finding what works for you and then trusting in that process. But really remembering those premises: love, gratitude, patience.
Absolutely. I mean, it's such a great question, Alison. I mean, like, we're not kidding when we say we could go. And welcome, Tia. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Tia.
When we say we could literally just go on for this, just on this topic for days, answering that question, we mean that, because, words can be, they're so helpful, but they're also so limiting. especially, you know, when Susie and I are talking to you guys, we're translating in a different way, but as we would if we're doing a mediumship reading, we're translating. And how to take the frequency of what we understand, it had, you know, the wisdom of spirit has to come through our intellect in order for us to share it with you. And I can't tell you the energy that bubbles up inside of me when I get questions like that and I want to answer it, because my human adrenaline is like, oh, you know, we want to just hand you guys this stuff. And so much of it does come from experience. It is, you are unique. You are going to each find your own way. You know, like what overwhelms Susie, what her simplifying means is so different than what mine means. For some people, like for some of my clients, I mean, I've been coaching manifesting for over 20 years. And I can tell you some things that I worked so hard to manifest 10 years ago that I'm not even interested in now or showing up. Not even kidding. And there's other things that were immediate. And so, you know, the thing that slows down manifestation is our attachment to it, our overthinking it, and our emotion. And
Absolutely.
so when we get caught up in, like Susie had such an important point there, when we're constantly measuring the outcome and we're judging ourselves, you're just, it's like putting the brakes on a bicycle and then trying to pedal as hard as you can. Or the, you know, brakes on a train, you have them on and the train's trying to get going. It's just not going to happen. And sometimes it takes people years to figure this out. When we are natural manifestors, but we live in a, you know, really keep in mind the type of world we live in. It is not, we are promoting, encouraging, and selling manifesting. We're selling consumerism, which, by the way, started in the 60s by a couple of businessmen who realized that if they instilled and promoted people to want, they could make constant money. That's how the start of our throwaway society began. So that, my friends, is also been programmed into us now for a couple of generations, into the 95% of your mind that you're not aware of. So when you're wondering, am I doing this right? Am I not? And you have this self-judgment, you've got to remember the different aspects of yourself that you're dealing with. You have the eternal you that is incarnate in this body, that is all-knowing and wise, that has amnesia when you're born. Then you have the mind you, the physical you, and the mind you, right? So you have, you know, emotion is the mind and the body, as Dr. Joe Dispenza says, and then you have your mind, which is synonymous with ego. So somehow all of these things have to, in order for a manifestation to happen, the frequency of your thoughts, for it to be authentic, have to really align with that eternal you. What does your soul really want? And a lot of times what our subconscious, that 95% of our mind, our human mind we're not aware of, wants or believes it wants, is different than what our conscious mind says it wants. Our conscious mind might say, I want a happy, healthy relationship so bad, and we cry over it and we feel lonely. But our subconscious mind, the part you're not even conscious of, which is why becoming more aware of yourself and your thoughts and feelings is so vital, and remembering who you are as a soul is so vital, is because the subconscious mind does not even always agree with the conscious mind. So you'll make conscious choices and the subconscious mind is going, no, you don't want a relationship because you get hurt. So it's not even letting you get what you think you want. And then your soul is going, well, I'm fine on my own. I'm at peace on my own. I just need to align and then the right partner will come. And you can't even hear that when your subconscious mind and your mind are noisy, right? So there's so much to Allison's question, but I think, you know, taking Susie's initial guidance and just understanding that the bottom, you know, I like things to be simple too. And like for me, the Wicca thing, the ritual thing, I mean, I know I jumped around here, but I've got new age friends that before they do an event, it takes them 3 hours. I mean, some of these big psychic festivals that I've helped with, They have salt and bells and crystals, and they have to set up a whole table. We all have to be detoxified in every form. And then we have to walk around this big building, and we have to, I'm not mocking it. Some people like that. But here's the thing. When you're aware and remember you don't have to do that, everything is energy. In the same 3 hours they did that, I could have stood there, intuitively detected where the negative energies were in the building, and with one flash of my white light, it would have all been cleaned. I could have been home and in bed by 9 o'clock, right? Not 1 a.m. So, my point is there is no right or wrong here, but that, as Susie said, it's manifesting isn't as complicated as you think. And when you have a desire and you ask, it's already out there. If it's an alignment authentically with who you really are, all you have to do is let it go and trust. Be patient and be grateful. It's really that simple. And I just want to quick throw in where the mindset work comes is if you're not yet, most people aren't yet at a place to do that. And your life is created by your habits. So your mindset will get in the way because remember, that's your ego.
Yeah.
So if you're in alignment and everything, you probably can't let go if your ego is in the way, because the ego is the resistance. So once you take care of that, if you just focus on that, that will all go away. But for some people, the vision board and the making lists and all of that, they actually need in order to simplify their thoughts. So keep in mind, you need to check out with yourself. What is going to simplify it for you? Is it that you need to clear your thoughts by having a vision board because you're not sure what you're wanting? Is it that that's too complex for you? Right? But this is about getting to know yourself. Okay.
Exactly. And I think just before we move on, what's coming to mind what's coming to mind here for me as well is sometimes it's nice to share a little bit about a personal experience just to gain a sort of a clearer picture, if you like. So while Larkin's been talking, I've been reminded I've been in this little house almost 18 months now, and how I came to be here was because the house that I'd lived in for almost 10 years, I rent, so I don't own my own home. My landlady served me a notice of eviction. So two things happened there. In the 20 odd years of renting, I'd never been served a notice of eviction. So my poor little heart was like, oh, what have I done wrong? Why is she evicting me? I've never been late on my rent. I've kept the house nice. And I felt sick to the stomach. Then my second reaction was, I've now got to find somewhere to live, and she's only given me 2 months to do it. And I went into panic mode. So for a week, I was on the phone 24/7. Well, that's what it felt like, but obviously it wasn't. But I was on the phone, estate agent after estate agent after estate agent, because here in the UK, as much as we like animals, it's very difficult to rent somewhere when you've got a pet, and I've got a dog. So I was panicking because I'm thinking I'm going to be homeless. I've nowhere to go. What am I going to do? I've got a 4-bedroomed house. I've got all this furniture. All of this was going through my mind. And for about a week and a bit, that's all I focused on was, I'm going to be homeless. I'm going to be homeless. And then in an instant, it was like, come on. This voice in my head said, come on, what are you doing? You know better than this. Stop. And it's, as Larkin was saying, it's about where we get attached to that emotion. So I was attached to that emotion of fear because that's what I was feeling in the moment. And as soon as this voice, and I'm sure it was one of my guides or angels, I don't necessarily know exactly who comes through in the moment, but in honesty, I don't feel it always matters as long as the inspiration's there and the voice is telling you. And it's like, will you stop? Stop this. Stop now. So I did. I just took a big breath, stopped, thought, right, I've shown the universe that I need to take action, because sometimes you do have to take action as well to show them what you're asking to manifest is what you want. And I did. For 2 days, I did nothing about all of it. I recalibrated. I got my energy back into focus. I'm a back flower therapist as well. So I went to my back flower remedies and found the ones that felt right to use and helped me to rebalance and recalibrate my emotions. The following day after, well, a couple of days later, I think it was, this little voice went, "Oh, just pop to that estate agent. You've not been there," which was the estate agents that I actually had my house that I was in with. Walked in the door and they went, "Oh, how are you getting on?" I said, "Still looking." So she said, "Well, actually," she said, "are you still wanting 2 bedrooms or will 1 bedroom do?" I said, "Does it take a dog?" She said, "Yes." And that was it. 2 weeks later, I'd moved in. All because I took myself out of fear, put myself back into flow, put myself back into alignment, and allowed it to flow to me by just letting it be and trusting that they were guiding me. So,
and that's so powerful, Susie, because that just reminded me. We told you, Allison, we could go on forever with your question.
yeah,
We really can.
we will.
Because what Susie just said also reminded me, like, that's one of the things, excuse me, especially your spirit guides are here to help you with, is the manifesting. Everything is energy. Everything. There isn't anything that's not energy. Your thoughts are the first form of manifested energy. Your feelings are the second. You feel them even more physically, right? The third is actually having circumstances and physical things come up. So everything is energy. I mean, we're 99.9% space. You could see right through me. You're technically looking through me. You just don't know it. And I think it's so important. See, we're not taught this in school, but this is what's important to know. This is the reality of it. Everything is energy, just configured differently. So when you're manifesting, one of the things your spirit guides are there to do, they're cheerleaders, they're directors, they're guides, they're spirit guides, right? So they're guiding you in this life. If you can learn to differentiate between your egoic thoughts, your mind that's been programmed, and your intuition, which is not programmed, it's free and wise, then you can learn to hear that guidance from your spirit guides like Susie did. So it's such a great story.
Sometimes they have to shout.
Sometimes they do. And when you build a stronger relationship with them, it gets stronger. It gets easier. It gets so natural that it's like, it's not hard to pick up on anymore. You're picking up on subtleties, right? So then it just becomes a casual conversation like Susie was sharing where, oh, she can hear them, and it's like you and I talking.
Yeah.
And so that is really powerful when you guys have that backup. We don't always listen. I mean, I don't always listen to them. I remember driving across a few years ago from one little street across a busy street by my parents' house to the grocery store. And I already had in my mind, I was going to get this, and this, and my plan for the rest of the evening. And that's what my ego wanted to do. But this loud voice came in and was like, don't cross the street. Don't go into that parking lot. And I'm like, wow, that was really loud and bold, No, it'll be fine. I'll be fine. I'm like, okay, I'll be careful. And they're like, again, because spirit repeats itself kindly, repetitively, sometimes more intensely, but it was an intense warning. Don't drive across the street. Do not go through this light into the parking lot. And I was like, okay, I'll just be super careful. I was just thinking, okay, I've got the warning now. If I'm careful, nothing's going to happen. No, the point is something was already going to happen. And they warned me about 5 times and even gave me a more intense warning. If it's a warning, it's often you also feel it in your body. I was not in that parking lot 60 seconds and somebody hit me. And it was a person that was not going to exchange insurance, did not want to take responsibility, turned around and blamed things on me. I mean, it ended up being a whole slew of things with insurance and everything else. So, when you can learn to recognize and practice recognizing spirit and speaking to you in ways that maybe aren't emergencies even, it really helps you all the time. But that was a huge lesson for me, because ever since that happened, that was such a painful experience afterwards. I so regretted it. And now when spirit's speaking to me, I'm like, resist, do what it says. Because you always regret it when you don't listen to that. But that is a big part of manifesting, actually, is being able to listen to them.
Yeah. I mean, I've got a whole nother story around that, very similar but slightly different, related to my health. But it saved my life, so we'll save that one for another evening, because I really think I'd like to just address what Alison Plumley was sharing. I don't know if Alison's still here. She was just saying, I've read tarot over 25 years. I'm now rejoining Circle to develop more with Derek Spall. Not heard of him, so I'll be looking him up. Thank you very much for sharing. I'm loving the spiritual world. I've not been able to work as I have osteoarthritis, depression, anxiety, chronic pain. This is my world, means so much to me because I know my loved ones are with me every day. And I love that share. Thank you, Alison. That's, so beautiful. You've been so vulnerable in allowing yourself to speak about yourself like that. It takes a lot of courage to put that out there to complete strangers. And I just want to send you lots of love, lots of healing energy. And do come back and let us know how you get on with working with your development circle. And if there's any questions that arise, feel free to ask them here as well. But part of working with spirit.
Welcome.
Hi, Amanda. Yes. Oh, Amanda's a friend of mine. Oh, it's so lovely to see you, you gorgeous lady. Working with spirit is wonderful. Just that last sentence, I know my loved ones are with me every day. It's such a truth. And I think lots of people forget that they are with us every day. Maybe they choose not to want to know, or they choose not to believe it, whatever reason, but they are with us every day. And I love that. I remember many, many years ago working with a mentor for a very brief period of time, told me that my husband could not be my spirit guide, because I used to say, oh, he's come through, he's told me this, he's talking to me, he's helping me. And he was like, no, they don't do that. They're not guides. And I'm like, well, surely if somebody from spirit is coming through, be it your loved one or be it somebody that you met years ago or a school teacher or whatever, surely if they've come through and are offering me guidance, then they're a spirit guide. Is that not what it means? And he was absolutely adamant that this couldn't be so. Needless to say, I moved on to a new mentor. But we all have different beliefs, and I respect and honor those beliefs. But if they don't resonate with me, then I choose to find something that does. So I just wanted to address that and just send you lots of love and lots of healing, and look forward to hearing about your journey with your circle, should you wish to share it with us.
Well, and hopefully, I know Alison said she had to pop off. She had a Zoom at 7:30. So hopefully, Alison, you're hearing this on, I'm sorry we didn't get to you before you logged off, and thank you for joining us, but hopefully you're going to listen to this on the replay. And that's another really important point too, is, like we have our spirit guides that we are born with, that are our spirit guides that will not incarnate during our lifetime because they are our spirit guides. And then we have, sometimes we call them angels, sometimes we, but I usually say your angels, your loved ones in spirit, that of course they can guide you. Sometimes they can guide you better from the other side than they can from here, right? Because they know it was going to be happening. And so I think a lot of times people get caught up in the terminology and the definitions, but it is important that if you are going to a reader or you're taking a class, you have a mentor or something, it doesn't mean that you have to like and agree with everything they say. Sometimes that's just ego, but it does mean if something doesn't resonate with what your being knows. So, like in Susie's experience, Or if you go to a reader and you find that you walk away from the reading and you feel really negative, it's been a really negative experience, kind of all like gloom and doom, or, oh, you have to do this for, yeah, there might be some serious guidance that comes through. But keep in mind that spirit always comes through. I mean, when we're doing, obviously, unless you're trying to work with dark energy, which none of you are, you're not going out of your way to be like, oh, I want to, I want advice from this dark energy. Dark energy is only the absence of light and consciousness. That's it. So, that isn't something I mean, I don't ever deal with that, ever. I never have that issue. If someone comes to me and says, oh, I have a negative energy in my house, I can just clear it out with my white light. It's not a problem. Why? Because darkness can't stand the light. So there's nothing to fear. So I don't have that issue. When you find people are really caught up in the dark energies, or, remember, what you give attention to grows. So you don't want to be giving attention to that. You can always stay in the light. Therefore, when spirit comes through, it's going to come through and should come through in loving guidance, in peaceful, loving, supportive ways, and once in a while I do have people come to me and say, yeah, I felt so terrible after this one reading, and I was afraid to get another reading from someone, and I was really scared after this reading. That shouldn't be happening. You should leave a reading or an energy session feeling more at peace, feeling calm, feeling love, feeling supported, feeling optimistic and hopeful. Because spirit always has, spirit knows that everything's working out for you and everything's okay, and should be guiding you to that realization and that awareness. So just keep that in mind too. I think that's really important. So Susie was smart in switching mentors there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the other thing too, I want to say, in the beginning, some of you weren't here for this, but when Susie was talking about, getting into all of this later in life and thinking, well, I can't do this because I didn't start from the time I was a child. It doesn't matter. We all are born with that connection. And as little children, we all engage in that. We just don't remember it. And then usually by the time we're 6, our mind has shut that off, and we've been programmed by the adults in our lives who don't believe in it, that it's make-believe, it's imagination, it's not real. So our spirit guides all of a sudden become our imaginary friends, right?
Apparently I had a few of those.
Exactly.
I just don't recall it all.
I just had a client last year who asked me about her imaginary friends, and she's like, my imaginary friends are coming back. Is that okay? And then she realized they were her spirit guides.
Yeah.
She'd been taught they were her imaginary friends, but really they'd been for her all along. And now she works side by side with her spirit guides every day. So, you never know what can happen.
Absolutely. So I don't know about you, but I think I've talked myself dry.
I think so. I think what we'll do is we'll close up here in the next 7 minutes for our first broadcast. I want to leave you guys with something you can do, and something that we'll be getting into every broadcast. What we'll be doing moving forward is, we can pick 1 or 2 people, possibly 3 at the end of a broadcast to do readings for. The problem with making a whole broadcast about the readings is we often lose the education standpoint of guiding you guys to empower yourself. Not that it can't happen through readings, but everybody wants a reading. And when you're getting a reading, even though it's powerful, you are looking obviously to the reader. And one of the things we want to make sure we don't leave out in this podcast is the general education and awareness and empowerment for all of you of your ability to do this. So we're really trying to find a balance there between readings and answering your questions, because a lot of times people just pop off. If they think there's a reading on a live cast and they pop on and it's not a reading and they don't get a reading right away, they just leave. And the point is this is so much more amazing when you can learn to connect for yourself. When you learn to get validation, verification, it just blows. I mean, I've done this my whole life and it still blows my mind. Every day, my mind is blown by spirit, whether I'm doing a reading or they're working with me in my own life, or I see them working with my husband or my family or my animals. There's a magical world out there, guys. Far beyond our two-dimensional, three-dimensional world.
As we don't have time this evening for this one to do a reading, I feel, excuse me, what I'd like to do, and hopefully those that aren't here, see, I'm getting dry, that aren't here might pop back and see this, but I want to use this as a sort of a little bit of starting that internal process of trusting yourself, if you like. So for each person that's popped in, I'm just going to pull a card, but what I'd like you to do with the card is just take a screenshot of it if you can. What I might do is pop them in the comment. I might photograph and pop them in the comments. Yeah, I think that's what I might do. But you'll just have to remember which was your card. Is to then take that image and just sit with it and just look at the card and feel into the energy. And you may feel nothing, and that's okay. But then just trust the first thought that pops into your mind, or the first feeling that pops into your energy. You know, how does that color make you feel? What does it remind you of? Something like that. And then just see how you go. And if you do come back to us again on another one of these lives, maybe just share a little bit about that happened. So for Michaela, we've got joy. So there we go. And for me, this is about working with the solar plexus, is what I want to say for Michaela. For Donna Ray, I've got shadow. And for me, this is very much about winter. So there's something cut around the winter months, coming into hibernation, maybe being a bit reflective. Alison Plumley, you have the rainbow angel. And this feels to me about connection. I know Chrissy left us earlier on because she did say goodbye. But Chrissy, you've got protection. And for me, this is a lovely card around the energy of Archangel Michael.
Oh, I can't wait for us to get the Archangel stuff. It's going to be so much fun.
It's going to be so much fun.
My God.
Oops. Oh, heck.
They get so excited. They love to come in.
Yeah. Alison Lett, you have past lives. That'll be an interesting one for you to reflect on. And who else have we got? Tia. Tia has wisdom. And again, this is another, for me, I'll tell you about this deck in a minute. For me, this is very much an Archangel Michael card as well. And I know Michael is very much part of Tia's life. And then Amanda, my beautiful friend Amanda, you have learning. So there's something coming in around for you where you might have to learn a new skill, something like that. So yeah, so I will take pictures of those. I'll post them in the comments, and then if anybody's got any questions around them.
And what we're going to do is I want to just share this with you guys, you know, before we get off. If you guys are interested in this, you know, keep in mind we're going to be doing, you know, a couple of readings on here each week. We're going to be having events. If we have, you know, enough people into all this, you know, guys, I would check out larkinsreadings.com because Susie and I are going to be having classes on there. So I haven't finished adding it all on, but Susie's going to be doing work and classes and things that you can register for on there via crystals. And Susie and I will be having both free and low cost paid events on there. That's larkinsreadings.com. So you guys will be able to do that. If you decide you want to go more in depth than just this podcast, if you want to have assistance in really authentically guiding guiding you to remember these abilities and enhance them for yourself. So we're going to be having those things on there. You can subscribe to that site if you want. And we're going to be having different things on there as well as readings on here. Make sure that you go to the YouTube page that I have the link for here. If you can find it, it should be up in the next 24 hours if it's not now. And subscribe and follow it so that every week when we're on at 12:30 and 5:30 here, EDT, 5:30 BST, you guys can join us and you can get notifications. We love your questions. And I think the thing we want to really make a point of here is, really giving you authentic answers and guidance and helping you to verify, validate, and step into your power on your own. Because there's a lot of marketing this type of thing out there that really is not accurate. And our goal is to really connect and empower you, for you to rediscover your own connection that you were born with. So
definitely.
Anything else, Susie, for next week? I want to also throw out there, guys, I am having a Hocus Pocus Haunted Halloween event. I still have spaces. I am shocked I still have spaces. But you don't have to dress up. It's a costume party. We're going to be doing little readings on there. Everybody gets a reading, so it's limited spaces. It's like a fifth the price of a reading. But that's on the 28th, and I still have spaces. So if you guys think you're interested in that, Susie, do you have any live podcasts or events you want to share so people know?
Nothing at present. No, I'm a work in progress at the moment.
So yeah, and my website's a work in progress, but you guys can just check out our links here. I have to add Susie's Instagram to there as well. So you guys can check that out. And then obviously Thursday night, Air One Psychic Radio. If you go to my Facebook Larkin Psychic Medium page, you guys can join the pre-party and then join it's just a 15-minute show on Thursday nights at 9:30 my time. So for those of you in the UK, it's the middle of the night. So, but anyway, we will continue to share what both of us are offering so you guys can participate in whatever we have going on. But
absolutely,
make sure you like the page. And Susie, you're brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And you too, Larkin. It's been fabulous. And thank you to everybody that's popped in.
Yes, thank you all for tuning in.
We're just, well, yeah, we're just grateful. We are. We're so grateful for having this opportunity to be here to share with you, courtesy of the internet and social media. So, And
you made it special by showing up. So,
yeah, exactly.
So we'll see you guys next week.
Hey, Amanda.
Next week, again, 12:30 and 5:30. Hopefully we'll see you all here.
See you all then.
All right, guys. We love you too. Thank you.
Much love to you. Have a wonderful day, night, evening, wherever you are.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.